Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Nova Aetas Renaissance. So this is a miniature, uh, kind of like RPG campaign game. You're gonna move tactically around on the board, on these creative maps, trying to do different missions based on what the mission says in the campaign, and then each story goes on, and you have different choices you can make throughout it, which will give you different options. We give you different outcomes down different paths. There are, I think, 8 different endings to the actual full-on story, as well as there's a bunch of different side missions you can take, which you can opt to, expansions and promos and crossovers from other games add more more different options and stuff. Each of your characters you get to play as has the ability to they don't generally just level up normal like sense, like gaining like a little extra HP in this, but they can then eventually change into different classes. You start off as one type of class, and you can switch to one of 2 other advanced classes. So it even gives you options on replay to play as a different group of people. And again, more expansions and crossovers stuff are adding other characters as well, so you can keep doing that. Also to note that this is a 2.0 edition of the game. So there was originally the first game by Ludus Magnus Studios, who do like stuff like Black Rose Wars, Sin Tempor, Ragnar. Trying to think of some of the other games they've done. Bunch of different games. This, like, the original Nova Aetas was like their first big game. They came out. This is a 2.0 version. Almost every single thing from the original has been carried over to this. They updated the way that it plays a little bit. They updated graphic arts. They basically tweaked stuff to make it a better game. But it's essentially the same game as the first one. Like models, I believe, are the same poses and stuff like that. And there's a couple little things. There's also some new stuff in here that's not in the original. So also to keep that in mind, there's a couple of new things as well. So if you did own the original, there might be some neat stuff in here. This will be a multi-part video, many videos probably, because this is such a big, huge box. And it's the start of the Nova Aetas Chronicles world. Now, in the box here, though, they have all of the stuff from the regular campaign, as well as all the stretch goal stuff. I'm not sure if you can buy a smaller box, it's just the core game, or if you can only buy it with everything unlocked through their site. That might be one thing to kind of check out, but they do have everything kind of mixed together. And we'll kind of go over all the components in this video, and we're going to kind of run through a basic idea of what the gameplay is, and then in subsequent videos we will go through the different heroes and kind of look at all their different cards and aspects and what they can do. We'll look at a bunch of the different enemies, the stretch goal stuff as well. Although there is a campaign in here, I will not be going through every single part of the campaign. So we actually have this big campaign booklet here, which I really love this. So I was going to do a quick flip through it. So it has all this stuff, so there's certain parts you will hit. You'll have these cards that will actually dictate what you're doing throughout the game. They'll have you reference back to stuff in here, and might say, check out this part, 0007. And then you'll read this, it'll tell you what to do. Might have you check out part 10. And then each one, sometimes they add different setups in there, and different things. They might add new characters, but there's a lot in here. And it goes, each point goes all the way through up to 8, I believe, up to 9. So 0.9, so there's 10, the prologue in the first one, and then the next chapter starts at section 1 and goes all the way to 9, so there's 1 through 9 in there. So I think there's, and then we have part 3, which only goes up to 6, but it's got multiple endings. And then they have, bunch of different endings. They have all the stretch goal stuff you can add in there. And why I love that this is in a binder is because if you're playing a specific mission, you could go ahead and just pop those two or three pages out. You don't want to have this entire book sitting around. Also, additionally, is that as they added more expansions or other things, if any other thing has an actual guide, you could print off that sheet or copy it from a magazine or wherever it is, print it off the internet, and you could put it in here and keep them all together. And I do like that as an idea. So that way you don't have to have 15 books sitting around. They have the tutorial, which walks you through on how to play, which we'll kind of take a brief look through that in a little bit. We have a little extra handbook, which is nice just to kind of keep out. It just kind of goes through some of the basic terminology, what some of the tokens and stuff do. We have the full-on rule book, which explains everything, and this actually goes through all the different terminology and stuff in there. But what's neat about this is because this isn't the how to play thing, that's the tutorial book. This is then saying if you need to reference how one thing works, this is how you're going to go. It's going to show up all the components. But it's saying if you need to know how a companion card works, you go there. If you want to know what models are, how they activate, you go to that part. If you want to know what some of the different scenic elements do, which is really cool. How traits work, threat levels. You can jump to this bigger book which explains it in more detail. Then on the back they have a campaign sheet. We can also go online and download more of these as well, which does keep track of a lot of the different stuff. So it's saying like you gotta go through, you gotta keep track of stuff you've earned, regents and stuff, so that way you can craft and make new stuff, what your inventory is, if you've done certain hunts, which chapters you've completed. As well as your player, if you have different injuries, what your experience levels are, what skills you've upgraded to. So you do get to upgrade your characters a little bit, but again, it's not like straight RPG where you get like a point and you have to like add 1 HP type of thing. And then we have a little book for all the stretch goal stuff as well. Just kind of explain some of the new concepts the stretch goal added, as well as like right here they have the more missions for these. So you could even, like, if you really wanted to, if you wanted to wreck the book, you could tear these pages out and then just go ahead and binder them into that binder so you can find them if you needed to. So very cool. So you have a couple of books there. So let's see what the other components of the box are. So unfortunately, I can't really tip this down too much because it's so big. The thing is, some of the stuff I'm going to show will be stretch goal stuff, some won't. And we'll kind of go over that as we go. We do have an extra additional tile here. This is a very flimsier tile versus some of the other ones, but it's just kind of like an extra one-off tile. We have a big map here, which will be used during some of the different modes to keep track of where we're going. So this is taking place in the Renaissance era. So we do have Venice, which is one of the big enemies that you'll be coming up against a lot, as well as Rome, which are the two conflicting forces in the game. You might go to the village or town to do stuff in there. And then we actually have, if you're in the rest board, so in between missions, you have go to the towns, you can do various stuff, like healing, recruiting companions, buying stuff from the market, crafting things. So all this different stuff you're doing in between missions. It's not just play mission 1, play mission 2. In between, you're doing other different stuff as well, which is really fun. And then we have big tiles here. So these are actually the boards we play on. So there's going to be all these hex grids. So we have like forest and we have city settings. And basically each one is a forest and city. And we'll look at these a little bit more. There is a stretch goal one where we get some swamp and snow terrain. So you can kind of change up the gameplay a little. And then a special one for some of the other missions as well. And they're all numbered on the corner so you know which ones they are, so it's, you know, easy to tell. So it tells you which board to pick. Then we have... Whoops. We have lots of tokens and constructibles. And again, some of this stuff is going to be... was stretch goal stuff, but it's just mixed in with everything else. So this is one of our stretch goal tiles. So it does have a tower that you can build. And that's one of the things that's cool about this. You actually have 3D terrain you can actually use to build during the game. This is more some stretch goal content. You can build this house that you have to interact with. They have an extra little tile and dropping pieces off. This is what I was worried about with all these tokens sometimes. But then here's your regular tiles. So they're going to have you build stuff. So you have them big giant tiles. Sometimes you'll have these that might overlay on top of one, potentially, or go in between them, or form their own type of board. But it's just so you can have pathways maybe between one tile to the next. We have some grass ones. We flip to the other side. We have a bunch of streets. We have some different trees you can add in there, which will add different blocking terrain. We have some different houses you can interact with, character tokens, enemy tokens for on the boards. And it's neat that the houses are all double-sided, so it's like you're not just going to build them and then leave them built. You're actually going to dismantle them because it looks like you want to be able to build them multiple directions. So there's another one. We're kind of just going to flip through these a little bit quick. We'll come back and we'll look at these a little bit more in depth as we talk about each component. But yeah, there's also like tokens for different abilities, health tokens, Peridium dial, which has to deal with like your threat level. I keep popping all these tokens out, which is one thing I hate about playing with token boards, but I'm not actually dismantling them. This is the big cool thing of the game. So this is the horror column, which hopefully I said that right. It's like a random token now laying on my table. Here's a bunch more ability tokens on the outside, but this is basically the turn order time meter. So there will be a little hand clock in there, and as you do actions, you'll move your tokens across the board here, and then whoever has the closest action, wherever the clock hand is, gets to act first. So if you're on Pisces here, you're on 2, and you do 5 action, I think it costs 5 points, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll move down to Leo. So then anyone now next that's in between Pisces and Leo will get to take their action. So it adds that tactics element to the game, which I really like. Because again, you're on this hex board, so some of your attacks can do distance and have to reach areas. So it's a really fun thing. We have some other small stuff. We have a lot more status tokens. We have some ladders. We have some tokens here for some other bigger characters they didn't make miniatures for, which they eventually did make miniatures for. But during an expansion, which is always a fun thing to do as well. And then some transforming tokens, which are really cool. Awesome. So those are, hey, that's where that last token disappeared from. Alright. We had one more tile in there. Some street tiles. Got all those. We have a smaller board. So this is the clock hand of that thing. We have the well. We have a range meter. So if you need to test distance or not range, but line of sight. And some other small little tokens there as well. Then we have this special little box here, which is the Magister box. So this is for Black Rose War. This is crossover components. So everything in here has stuff that specifically that can be used for this game. They have different enemies and things in here for Nova Aetas. But then for Black Rose Wars, you actually get some of these things as things to fight or players to play as. So they just put all these kind of in one box. They can be used definitely for both, but you can play it with any of the Black Rose Wars games. Alright, then if we get into the bottom of the box, we have a ton of miniatures. I'm going to move all of my tokens out of the way here, just so I don't keep bumping into them. And we're going to pull out the tokens, or the miniatures, which we will, again, look at all these more in-depth as we go through each one. But we'll have the white ones, which are various playable characters. So they have a decent, they have the 4 basic ones from the set. They had 3 that were added on during stretch goals. So you get a total of 7 just out of here. Plus, again, this is the thing where, again, they mixed the regular characters and the stretch goal. So I'll probably just combine them all together during the videos, because rather than trying to, I'll separate them out as we go along, because I have the stretch goal book separate. But, yeah, they're all just kind of mixed in. We have some familiars. There's some big spots down here for all your tokens. Alright, then we have a little map that shows where everything goes, in case you need to know where everything goes. I do wish some more companies would do what Simon started doing for their miniatures and putting numbers on the bottom, so you could keep track of which ones are what. So it's like, oh, this is model number 1, this is model number 2. So you can also put that on the board and just list it. So it's like, oh, model number 1 and number 2 go here as well, instead of just having to try and match it visually. Because sometimes guys do start to look a little bit alike. But yeah, so here we have a lot of the guys we're going to fight. Well, what's cool during the stretch goals is they changed some of the regular troopers from like just having 10 of one to we have 5 of one version and 5 of another. They act as the exact same miniature, but we get more options for presence on the board, which is always nice. Then the last part, which I cannot take out of the box. I could, but it's the very bottom. This is where all of the cards are. Yeah, I can try and take that. I can try and take it out, but it's one of the things where it's the bottom, so it's not really meant to be taken out. But we'll see. Oh yeah, I got it. All right. So here's the big crux of a lot of the stuff, is we have a lot of cards for this game. Cards and boards and stuff like that. So we're going to have... I haven't popped any of these out yet, but we have these neat little player boards here, which I'm going to just pop a few of these out. So what you do then is you take one of your character cards. So if I am playing Sophia, for example, you slide it underneath there, and then what it does is it has a listing for all her different abilities, her different skills she's trying to learn, and stuff like that. So right now, she's only on her base form, she's only using this. This should show off her different stats. So if I pop out some more of these quick, and we'll look at these more when we look over the heroes, but yeah. So like this will show what her stats are, and then sometimes they have little spots here to put cubes in case they learn this ability, so which one she's learned, or which stuff, and keeping track of things. But then when they upgrade, she has a double-sided upgrade to either a Slayer or a Rogue, and then when you put one of those in there, if I can open this back up, they'll reveal if they have any updated stats. Shows all her green abilities, but now she has blue abilities instead. She kicks the other side, she'd have red. So it's a really neat way to like have a board so you can keep track of everything, but then it's modular for every single character and multiple level ups and stuff like that. So like that would be the other side. So it's a really neat idea. Versus just having like a thing that sits on top of them, they kind of slide inside. So you do get, with this, you get 6 of these. So you get 4 for the base and then 2 for stretch. So you can actually play up to 6 players. And again, I think there's 7 total characters in this game. And then there's also some that coming up, expansions and stuff like that. Yeah, so you got all the different characters for the set. They each have multiple, their regular character card and then their upgraded forms. But then along with that, they each have a basic card which explains what their abilities are on each of their card. So you can have this sitting aside, so if you're playing as Valerio, you know, oh, okay, this is what Reckless, this is what this does. And then if you upgrade to his other side, these upgrade forms has a double-sided, so you have abilities, so you know what they are. So you don't have to keep going and looking through books and trying to find stuff to figure out what each upgraded character does. And this will go through all the different characters, so everyone gets a total of 6 cards. Then on top of that, we have a bunch of equipment cards. So we have some various ones that you use stuff to build them throughout the game. But then each character also has their own set of specific equipment cards. So like again, like Valerio, he has 3 starting cards. So you start with these 3 cards, a sword, a shield, and some leather armor. But then if you upgrade him to his knight form, he potentially gets 3 more cards. Some of them he just automatically gains. Some you have to gain through doing certain destiny cards, which are like story mode for them. And then some you actually have to craft. So then each level up gets an additional 3 cards that kind of fit that player scheme a little bit better. And then we'll have injuries you can get. So you can have permanent injuries. We have achievements. If you perform certain achievements, you can get different things that'll interact throughout the game without the campaign. We have a little deck here of more equipment. So this is just stuff you can earn throughout the, or some of these are cards you can just earn or buy throughout the game. Some of these are also the upgraded character stuff. We have all these destiny cards, which are little stories, which give you a little bit more backstory on each character, which I love lore, so that's really fun for me. Which also then upgrades some of their equipment. what's the other decks we have in here? We have draft decks for enemies. So what these are, so sometimes it'll tell you like randomly selecting enemies, so you don't know which one you're gonna fight. We have some more spells. Some of these are stretch goal stuff, that's why they're separated a little bit. Some more reward cards, so if you complete certain side missions, you can get rewards. We have special little tarot cards for stretch goal thing, and we have some hunt cards, which are really cool. We have more of those in this deck as well. So here's a bunch more. Here's some other hunt cards. This is like if you want to fight the bear. As a side mission, go fight the bear. Then that's his special activation deck because he's kind of like a little mini boss. Here's some more of the draft cards for the regular stuff. Here's some more items that you can crate, or rewards for quests, for doing certain quests. And then we have our different provincias, or different regions, things that you're going to find throughout the game. So we have like Alchemia, and then we have Elementiums, different elements, different things for crafting items. And there's some more of them Destiny cards. So a lot of stuff in this game, to be for sure. Over here we have some of the stretch goal extra stuff in here. We have some more quests we can do. Some hunts that we can do there. We have some more special city cards, so you can actually change up how the game works if you're going in between areas. So instead of just going to a random rest town, you can specifically choose certain towns, which will have pluses and minuses of their own. We have this big giant pile here, is all your regular quests of the game. So if we kind of look at prologue number 1, so it has cards number, prologue, and let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll tell you how many cards are in the set, each one. It's going to tell you how to like set up the game. Here's what you need. You need these characters, these miniatures, these tiles. And then it's going to show you the map, how to set that up. Set this tile there, put this stuff there. What you need to do in the game, how you win, how you lose. And then as you get through stuff in it, you start the mission. And as things happen, you might get a card that says, oh, read this card, do this thing. Or you might have to go into a building. A bunch of other stuff. And then it comes with a bunch of envelopes. It's a stretch goal one. Here's this. You can then hide all them cards in there if you want. So you can put each one in a separate envelope. So if you want to play like episode 2 or episode 3, you just grab that little envelope. So that's a here or there. If you want to do that, so you can have them all separate to grab quickly, so you don't have to dig through this giant pile, you can definitely do that. At the very end here, we have companion cards for our 4 main heroes. These are so if you're not playing as them, you can add them into the game as like guys that follow you around and help you out, which is really neat, especially if you're playing like a 2 or 3 player game and maybe someone doesn't necessarily want to play multiple characters. You could add these guys in there, which is also a fun little extra. And then we have enemy cards, which will actually on the back of a picture of them. So at points it'll tell you like this enemy's on the table. So this is actually like whatever miniature it's representing. Sometimes they represent a specific character. In the story might be like the cardinal might actually be a guy named something. But then lots of times they'll have these stats, or they'll point out in the thing what stats they have. But just so you know what all their different stats are. We have side mission cards. We have all the different side missions. And then some summonables. And then we have this deck of stretch goal stuff. So these are divine, and I forgot the other one, or cursed, I think. Not cursed or something like that. But they're basically plus or negative bonuses to the enemies. So that way if you want an easier game or a harder game, you can add those in there. Especially if you're playing with more players. We have some extra locations. This is a fun stretch goal thing for the scenery. It has stuff so you can maybe randomly select the scenery, or has some different effects, so like maybe it has damage, it can be destroyed, or does different things. Really cool. Just some more side quests here for the stretch goal, plus the things for the stretch goal characters. So a lot going on there. So there's a lot of content. This is why this is going to take several videos to go through. Then the last thing we have are special dice. So we have all these cool dice. For keeping track of stuff. This, I think, is actually for one of the stretch goal characters. But they're 8-sided dice, and then on each die, they'll also have various little symbols. They could have a moon, or a sun, or a star, and they'll actually trigger other certain abilities or effects as well. And then we have a bunch of little cubes to keep track of various things on your characters. So these are for putting together counters. But yeah, we have some black ones and some white ones to keep track of various things on your boards and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of content in here. There's also a couple of different expansions which add some new big enemies. Some of them add extra playable characters. Again, tons of crossover stuff. So this will be a fun thing to go through. And we will take our time going through all of it. So yeah, come back. I'm going to call this just a video in itself, just the component video. We'll come back. We'll do a quick video where we kind of run through the tutorial, kind of look at how the game is played. And then we'll start going through the characters after that. All right, see you guys later. Bye.